Hello, YouTube. Hey, I'm sorry. I've been off for a bit, dealing with a lot of personal issues and traveling for work and whatnot. But I wanted to come back and share with you an extremely powerful indicator that I think will help you in your trading. Now, I know if you've watched some of my videos, I've not done the greatest job of describing what my indicators are and how to use them. So I thought I'd take the time to explain this to you now and explain to you an exciting new indicator that I've learned to use to help me indicate which direction the market is going. So if you look at this view here, it looks a bit busy, right? You got I'm not sure if you understand what this concept is here, what this is trying to show. It's a bit strange. This one here is one that I know I've talked to you in the past about. It's called the Wathorn, Wathay. I'm horrible at pronunciation, but it describes to you how to use this indicator when you have these plus lines. You see these little plus symbols that goes across here, right? And it shows you these red bar and green bars. Long story short, when this line breaks this line here, the line is called the explosion line. And when it explodes above this, more than likely this price of the stock will go up, right? And when you get these red lines here, it goes, it's red indication, meaning the stock is going to fall, right? And I've not done the best job of describing how these work, and I apologize for that. It's something I had to spend more time and going back and providing more education on. But what I'm excited to teach you guys about is a new one that I found out about here recently. It's called I won't try to pretend to explain its naming, but I can tell you what it does. And what it does is it uses machine learning or artificial intelligence to tell you what direction the market is going based upon its prior knowledge. And what's interesting about this indicator is it shows you based upon your your time lapse, either 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 1 minute, it tells you what its win rate and loss rate is, right? And also, the important thing is, as it makes mistakes, it'll grow and learn from its own mistakes and give you better predictions. So, what does this ultimately mean for you as an investor? Well, I'm looking at my favorite TQQQ. You can also come over here and look at the SQQQ. Of course, you know it's the exact polar opposite of TQQQ. So, long story short, let's roll this back looking at SQQQ and let's look for the indications that they provide. I'm looking for a sell or a buy signal from this. Here we go. Back in this on this time frame on February 23rd, late in the day when you can't trade it because it's after hours, it noticed. It noticed in the after hours that baby, this thing is going to go in the up direction. And was it right? Absolutely. Came here to the next morning, and you see the time lapse here at the bottom of the screen. Here's 9:30 when the market took. Back here was its buy signal. Here's we can actually take advantage of it when the market opens up, and it took off. And it moved in the right direction. It moved in the right direction. We'll see when it gets its first sell signal, right? Even though all this craziness is going on, if you were to watch when it gave you your buy signal, it also tell you. Well, I never told you to when to sell out. I could go further back. Maybe use a different time frame. Was maybe a better indication. Maybe I should start the video off again with telling you why I think this, but too short. Let's go. Let's move forward. The red bar indicates a sell signal. The green little indicator tells you when to buy. Okay. And based upon its now this little arrow signal is when I was buying and selling in paper trades, trying to see how things would work out and how you make money. But Don't get crossed up on this whole little down arrow. Focus on the big red bar here or the big green bar here. So looking at an hour block, let's turn it back to like a minute. And let's scroll this thing back. Let's scroll this thing back. So here's where it told you to sell. Now on this date, towards the end of the day, it saw an indication where I think you should sell, and it was collaborated, or this indication also told you to sell, based upon what I've told you in the past. When you see red bars going above the explosion line, that more than likely it's a chance for you to sell. So if you had bought it back here on this, told you to buy. If you bought it here and it was collaborated here, told you to also buy because it had the explosion line. Buy here, watch what happened. Told you to buy. And it was told also to buy here by the explosion line. That if you were to place a trade on the second candle in and bought it here, you could have rode from here, which is what, $40 a share, based upon over here. You see about here where it told you to buy. You can see it's about $40 a share, and it rode from here to here, right? And it told you to stay in until you got about to here, right? From $40 to $40.20. It's at $40.26, 28 cents. Not a bad ride. It's pretty safe. It told you to buy it here, and it told you to sell approximately there. All right. If you actually, if you're following me, I would have bought it here. I would have bought it back here on the second candle. I would have rode it to here, and when I got the kiss of death down here, when this dropped below this line, I'd be having my stop loss trapped way up here, so that when it breaks this line, I would have sold it before. I would have been here, set the stop loss. If it breaks around this line, I would have already got out before it told me to get out. So how do I know this? Why would I do this? I think I need to stop and explain some of these indicators. I'm really fascinated with this machine learning one, and I'll explain that second. The first one I want to explain is a very simple one. This Hawthorne explosion line. I'm not sure quite how to explain it, so let's look at its indicator and how to set it up inside of TradingView. So I have it set as one of my favorites, so I can scroll down through here to show you what its proper name is. If you can list this off, if you can spell this or say it out loud better than I can, good luck for you. But this is what you want to look for when you're looking for your indicator. It's me and my explosion line thing that I love so much. And the reason why I like it so much. So now this is what when I make reference to the explosion line, when I make reference to this chart and this indication and how to read it, I'm making reference to this. So you can see that have it picked as a favorite. And I won't bother with showing you how to set this up as your favorite. It's more important for me to show you how to find it, how to set it up, and how to use it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to close this out. Now you know how to find it. If you type into your search criteria for your indicator, you type in this Hawthorne Altar explosion, right? It'll bring you this channel. So let's go ahead and make things easier by minimizing this whole machine learning one that I like a lot. Let's get rid of it. So now we have, let's kill this one here too. Now we have on our chart just a Hawthorne explosion line, right? And these are individual candles. Now, let me explain how candles work. I know you've watched my videos. You may have heard me use the term candle before and not sure what it means. So let me try to explain it to you now. Of course, feel free to use Google, use YouTube, research how to read stock candles and how to interpret them, because there's a lot of power in what these symbols mean. If I were to change this out and set this to a line, now it makes sense for most people. Oh, this is the price. It rises, rises, and falls, falls, falls. It's a very line, right? But to make sense of this line and to track this line to see what is happening behind the scenes, most of your average investors don't know what happens behind this line and why the stock went up and went down. They would have no way of knowing why this took place and how to capitalize on it unless you're using charts like this, like the explosion line that, hey, when you explode it up, bam, watch what happens. Next line up, and it stayed up and up and up and kept going up and up and up. See, this is the price here. Price continued to go up because it was above the explosion line. And you got these green candles saying, yes, we have more buying power. More buyers are coming in. More buyers are buying the stock at a higher rate. The darker the green, the more people are buying it. That's what makes the price go even higher, higher, right? But when they get what's called a kiss of death, is when the buying power stops. In a 1 minute increment, the market decided to stop or slow its buying. Doesn't mean the stock is going to crash. It just means that the volume of people buying and selling has slowed down. So much, in fact, that if you were buying it back here, when you have this break of the explosion line, and if you were following my guidance, I always buy on the second candle. I had this huge green influx. If I were to buy it here on this price, I would buy it here. So we can do a little paint from a candle out here. Second candle in, I would have bought it there, right? There's where I would have bought it. So we draw the line out there. Based upon the fact that this is the second candle in of a green spike above the explosion line, which means the volume is there, trading volume, and people are excited about it, it's more than likely going to go up. So following my guidance, you stick there, all right, the first candle, that's a good sign. Things are looking good. Second candle, I'm going to snap it. I'm going to buy it. If you would have bought it there, you would have wrote it from what was it got? $40.04 a share, and would have rode this sucker all the way up to what? $40.24 a share. Doesn't sound like much, but I tell you what, if you can catch that kind of motion, if you can catch a 20-cent move in a stock with certainty, man, that's easy money. So what makes it easy money? So, like I've done before, I would bring up like a blocker, right? I would bring up like a piece of paper or something that would block you out, so you wouldn't know what the next candle would be. And let's say that you have a candle one, we buy it on candle two. How do you know when to sell this thing? How do you know when to sell it? Well, as long as the green is above the explosion line, more you won't find it. You won't find the price dropping when this condition is true. You just simply I mean, you can happen. That's why you set stop losses, but more than likely it won't. You would be invested, and stay keeping money until you have what I call the kiss of death, which is when the line here or in these this candle is no longer exceeding that white line, right? So if you would have bought it here, like I indicated, you would set up your stop loss aggressively around here. Right when it drops that explosion line, set your stop loss here. Let's see if I can draw back do this and change it. It's a bit crooked, but you get the general drift. And I can drag him over and move him where I want to move him. Where the explosion line, where we got the kiss of death, was here. So I would set my stop loss here, right? So if the price drops below this, I make the profit from here to this line. So it's only a 12-cent drop, right? 12-cent move from 40.03, 40.02 to what 40.11, right? If it drops below this, okay, I don't give a shit. Thank you so much. You fell below my stop loss, and I make money. I walk away. I'm out of the trade, and I wait for the next opportunity. And the next opportunity will quickly present itself when you see the market moving in the other direction. Then you move from SQQQ to QQ to TQQQ, because if this is not buying, if this is not going up, if this is falling hard, well, what's the opposite? The TQQQ is rising, right? And that's what's going to happen here. As you can see, if you see the price fall from here to here, you know what's going up. If this is going down, TQQQ is going up. But if you were just solely sitting back and looking at the southbound train, as I always joke, and you're riding and see, oh, babe, boom, green candle. I'm going to buy it on the second one. And you did, and you rose from here until you get out of the explosion line. And then you set your stop loss high to capitalize on what's taking place. No matter what you do now, you crazy market, I'm capitalizing. If you fall, I take money. If not, sometimes you've seen that even though this happens, the price continues to rise up or stays flat, 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 and then rise further. But when you see this kiss of death, that's when you set your stop loss aggressively and say, if you fall further, I don't care. I'm going to take your money that you've given me. I'm going to stick it in my pocket. I'm out of the trade, and I wait for the next opportunity. So in this situation, if you were to follow what I'm trying to teach, that you had made this small gap, and let's say you bought 100 shares or 5 shares or 1 share, it's all on your risk and how much money you got to play with it, right? But I think as you get confident in the strategy that I'm teaching, the more money you'll put into it because, well, shoot, I've never seen a chance where when it hits the explosion line and exceeds the explosion line, that's not going to it's not going to dramatically go boom and lose your money. You're going to it's going to at least move somewhere a little bit higher. So as soon as you were to buy the stock here, you would set your stop loss right about maybe a little bit here, a little bit lower, because you know what? I'm willing to take some risk knowing that more than likely, if you were to buy it on this second candle, the next candle is going to be green and above the explosion line. More than likely, it's going to push itself just a bit above where you're at. But if it falls down and then comes back up, it's still in that range where your indicator down here, the explosion line indicator, lets you know that you're still safe. It's not going to just dramatically drop. Dramatically. Wow, that's a great word. I should coin that phrase. Dramatically decrease in value. So if you bought it here, like I've recommended, and then as it has a nice rise and it climbs up to this section here, set your stop loss right above where you bought it at. Right? If you set your stop loss right above where you lost where you bought it, you're okay, because now no matter what happens, based upon our indications, more than likely you're going to see profit and profit and profit. If you're a gun shy investor, you don't want to lose a dime, then set that stop loss right where you bought it at. And if it drops below where you bought it at, you might just break even. Break even means you made no money, you lost no money. But if you're trying to watch this gauge and understand how this works and have some experience in playing around with paper trading to build your confidence, you'll see that when I see this green go above and above and above and above, usually the price goes up and up and up and up. Okay. Until it doesn't. So as long as I see this above the explosion line, I leave it alone. But when I see a kiss of death, oh yeah, I'm moving my stop loss line high. So if you do drop too far, I'm taking the price from here to here and putting it in my pocket. Then I walk away with a successful trade. Okay? Jeez. 19 minutes into this video, I feel like I've communicated jack squat. So, moving on to this day, when you see this spike happen, right? If your stop loss was set here, you're already out of the trade. So this little spike, you wouldn't have profited from, but you would have profited from this guy when you see it start to fall. Now, I'm only talking about the explosion line indicator. What I want to do now is bring this guy online. This is the machine learning, and let it tell us what you should do. And hey, it's magical. My efforts would say to invest here, and that's right where the machine learning algorithm told you to buy it on. So now you have two indicators telling you, hey, you might want to buy here. It likes what it sees. So if you were to buy on the second candle in, like I previously said, buy it. And you ride, 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 ride. This on the web. Yeah. She found that on the web. Good for us. She told you to get out here at this line. It's kind of funny. I told you where to draw your stop loss line at, and that's right exactly where it told you to. Or actually, I told us to get out here. I told us to get out when we saw the kiss of death. So our method would have got us out when it crossed, probably crossed back here. Maybe it was a bit of aggressive when I said that stop loss, but you get the point. Ultimately, when she fell and told you to sell, you are already out of the trade. So when you see on SQQQ the machine learning, which is this one here, let's bring this up so you guys can set this up on your own system. Let's see how you can find that and set this up in TradingView. And feel free to ask me a question in my comment section or whatnot. I'll see if I can get back to answer the question. But it's like if you type in machine learning, yeah. You see my star. This is the one that I'm using, and it's by the author by this author, machine learning. And I've not changed too many of its defaults. I've left it alone. But go to tradingview.com and then type in indicator and then go in the machine learning. So you would go here to indicators, right? And type in machine learning, and you would bring up the indicator which is located, which you'll see here. And that's the one that gives you this green buy signal and this red sell signal. And what's kind of neat is over here it tells you, based upon this interval, how successful is it? How successful is its indications versus buying and selling? I'm betting even its machine brain, it's probably a break-even trade for them because it told you to buy here. I also told you to sell at the same price level. So if you bought it right there and sold it right there, you're just breaking even. And this is why you have more than one indicator to tell you when to get in and get out. But I digress. I apologize. When you see this red indicator telling you to sell SQQQ, it means quite the opposite for TQQQ. Let's flip this over. Give it a second for it to read. Remember that red candle you saw on the other one is the buy signal you see here, and which was right. If you're looking at the explosion line, and we have an explosion, bam. And maybe in this case, when I have an explosion line here, this is a buy signal. Normally I would wait for the next candle, but if I see this happen and he's flagging saying buy, I might not wait for the second candle to buy it. I might just go ahead and buy it there. So if I were to buy it there, let's draw the line. Let's draw the line. Draw the line. That's where we bought it. We followed the machine learning indicator to buy that stock, and then we are confirmed. We have it here. The first candle, bam, above the explosion line. He says buy it, so we bought it. The next candle in, oh, we're glad we did because it told us to buy. And the second one is a strong dark green candle, indicating this is a proper buy. Third candle, indicating proper buy. Fourth candle, indicating a proper buy. So we've made money. Let's do a copy. paste and move you up. Now our profit line, if we were tracking this guy, we'd be here. We're in profit. We're in profit. No kiss of death. No kiss of death. Now we get a kiss of death. And kiss of death is indicated by, all my students know, is when we break the explosion line. Now you move that stop loss up to here. This is our profit already between this line and this line. We bought it on this line, and now we're going to sell it on this line. But guess what? Oops. We got a kiss of death. We got a kiss of death here. So we moved our stop loss up to be aggressive. But what did the price of the stock do? Continue to climb higher and higher and higher. Now, if I were trading this, to be honest, every time it went higher, I would move the stop loss. And I'm glad that that one indicator told us to buy it and told us to stay in this trade. I would trade this very close because I'm expecting it to fall back. So I would move my stop loss a bit higher. Told me to buy here, and I did. So my profit is between this line and this line. But since it's below my Hawthorne explosion line, I'm tracking you close. I don't trust you. I'm waiting for you to fall and reverse. And ultimately, it did. Finally, way over yonder, if you wait in your time lapsed, I would have probably risen this even further. As this price kept rising, I would have kept rising my stop loss. I had to set up another video to explain how to set up this whole stop loss thing so it makes sense to my audience. But I would not trust when this happens here and you're well below our lines. I'm waiting for this price to come against me, and it does. Bam, over here, right? And when it does, then you make the profit from line 1 to line 2. So that would put you from what? 2141 to 2170, what, 76? Not even higher? 77 or something. If you catch that stock, you catch that type of momentum, you can end your trading in one day. And how safe was it as an investor? I think pretty safe. I need to wrap this video up. It's running way too long. If you find this video useful, smack like, hit subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. Tell me what I should focus on. Tell me what questions you've got. There's a lot of content that I'm leaving not explained. I apologize. There's so much to explain, but I'm just trying to help you out the best I can. I hope this video helped you a lot. Thanks a lot for your time. Bye.